This is Dallas Game Day, and tonight we're talking about the connection that shook the stadium, stunned the broadcast booth, and sent a message directly across the NFL. Three names, three forces, three sparks of electricity firing at the exact same moment: Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and George Pickens. If you ever wanted to see what offensive firepower looks like in its purest form, this was the night. This was the performance. This was the trio the league was never prepared to deal with. From the opening series, you could feel something different in the air. Dak came out with a calm that almost felt dangerous. Eyes scanning, feet planted, mechanics tight, decisions sharp. This wasn't a quarterback guessing. This wasn't a quarterback surviving. This was a quarterback orchestrating, conducting, controlling the flow of the entire game like the field belonged to him. He didn't play like a man under pressure. He played like a man who knew exactly where his weapons would be before the defense even blinked. And that's where CeeDee Lamb came in. After sitting out the first series by coach's decision, he stepped onto the field like someone who had been waiting all week to release something. The route running wasn't just crisp, it was violent. Every cut was a statement. Every separation felt like a declaration that he was still the heart of this receiving corps, still the first read defenses fear, still the player who can flip the momentum of a game with one snap. 5 catches, 66 yards, every single one a tone setter. He wasn't warming up. He wasn't easing in. He was attacking from the moment Dak found him the first time. That's Dallas football. That's elite receiver DNA. But then came the piece that changed everything: George Pickens. The moment he lined up wide, you could feel the tension shift. He plays the game like he's levitating above the difficulty level everyone else is stuck in. His body control, his footwork, the way he adjusts mid-air to every single throw, it feels like you're watching a highlight reel in real time. Analysts called it poetic, called it ballet, called it a performance they had never seen before. And you understood exactly why. Pickens wasn't just catching passes. He was performing. He was elevating every throw Dak gave him into something bigger, something that felt like it belonged on a poster or in a season-long montage. When Dak hit Pickens down the sideline, the timing was perfect. When he hit Lamb over the middle, the rhythm was flawless. When he found Pickens again on the boundary, threading the ball into impossible windows, you realized the truth. This wasn't randomness. This wasn't luck. This was chemistry forming in real time. This was a quarterback finding two receivers who can win in completely different ways, at completely different speeds, and at completely different levels. But together, they create something almost unstoppable. Lamb gives you separation and explosiveness. Pickens gives you body control and contested catch dominance. Dak gives you anticipation, ball placement, trust, and command. Together, they give you something the Cowboys have been searching for: an offense that scares people before the ball is even snapped. The numbers were wild, over 150 yards combined before halftime, but the film tells the real story. Look at Dak's confidence as he lets the ball rep before Lamb even comes out of his break. Look at Pickens dragging his toes like gravity isn't real. Look at Lamb exploding out of his release like he's chasing destiny. Look at Dak smiling on the sideline because he knows he has weapons that can take over games. That's what elite trios look like. That's what legacy moments look like. That's what the best offenses in football are built on. And this wasn't just flashy production. This was complementary. This was rhythmic. This was synced. When Lamb drew coverage, Pickens abused the mismatch. When Pickens forced double looks, Lamb punished the free space. And Dak, for the first time this season, had both of them humming at the same frequency. That's not an accident. That's development. That's trust. That's the beginning of something dangerous for every defense left on the Dallas schedule. If this is the trio moving forward, and if they continue to sharpen this timing, they won't just be good. They'll be a problem for the entire NFC. They'll be the kind of group that forces defenses into coverages they don't want to play, matchups they don't want to live in, and game plans that collapse as soon as Dallas hits a rhythm. This is what Cowboys football is supposed to look like: explosive, dangerous, fast, creative, and fueled by star power. Cowboys Nation, Rise up. This is a connection worth celebrating. This is a trio worth believing in. And if Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and George Pickens keep playing with this level of fire, focus, and chemistry, then every team on the schedule is officially on notice. Drop your thoughts below, hit like, and subscribe.